Hey, this is the Fight Nerd, and joining me now is Genia, who is the author of Raw Combat: The Underground World of Mixed Martial Arts. Now, Jim, tell us a little bit about what this book is. It's Underground MMA. Is this like Kumites and Bloodsport? What is this?
Yes. No. It's about the underground fight scene in New York City. There is such a thing. New York doesn't allow sanctioned mixed martial arts right now, so fighters either have to go to New Jersey to fight where it's sanctioned, or they have to do it underground in New York City. And this book is an exploration of that whole underground scene. Examines the fighters, the fights, the denizens, like the people who surround the whole scene, and it's up close look.
This is a really odd topic to do a book about. What drove you to do this topic?
Well, I've been covering the underground fight scene in New York since 2003, and to me, it's always been extremely fascinating. I love sanctioned MMA. I love watching the UFC, going to all the sanctioned shows in New Jersey, but whenever there's an underground show in New York, I'm there.
These are kind of top secret things. So how did you first find out about these underground shows in the first place?
In 2003, a local fight coach named Steve Katz had a bunch of fighters that were going to fight on an underground show, and he told me about it. He said, "Jim, you want to come with us?" So I said, "Sure." And I paid, the ticket at the door and didn't tell anyone that I was a journalist. Took secret notes, took secret pictures, and wrote about it. And ever since then, I've been welcome at these shows.
What's been the reaction so far to this book? 'Cause again, it's a topic that's a little bit controversial, underground MMA, but how have fans and people reacted so far to it?
People that have read advanced copies love it. Surprisingly, people like Nick Lembo, who's with the commission in New Jersey, because the book isn't just about the underground fight scene in New York. It's also about the development of sanctioned MMA on the East Coast. And according to Nick Lembo, this is a great historical text on the growth of the sport here. So far, everyone's loved it. No one's sent me death threats. Time will tell.
Still early. Yeah, I had a chance to read it also, and we reviewed it on the site, so you guys can check it out if you want. But let's talk a little bit more about that, because as you mentioned, the story of underground MMA and sanctioned MMA kind of go hand in hand together in this book.
Yeah, in New Jersey, there was a show called Bama Fight Night, which was run by Big Dan Marigalato, who's a referee for the UFC and for the New Jersey Commission right now. And his show was the only show around for the longest time. There weren't sanctioned events in the Northeast. So Big Dan would hold these underground shows, and people like Matt Serra, Nick Serra, Phil Baroni, they had their first fights at these events. So there's a great tradition of underground unsanctioned fighting in the area, and the scene evolved. Eventually, New Jersey sanctioned MMA, and New Jersey's got one of the most vibrant MMA scenes in the country, and there are parallels between that and New York. New York right now is where New Jersey was back in 2002, 2001. So hopefully New York will get on board, and you'll see an even further evolution.
Hopefully, yeah. Now, do you think that underground MMA hurts MMA in New York being legalized?
Absolutely not. I think the people in charge, the legislators and lobbyists, we look at underground MMA as an example of why it should be sanctioned. No one's really gotten hurt in the underground fight scene, but it still should be regulated. It still should be. I mean, it's a viable sport. It's regulated just about everywhere else in the country. So I don't think these underground shows hurt it. I think it helps the cause.
This year in 2012, we got really close to having it legalized here in New York, but at the last minute, didn't quite come through all the way. Now, Jim, what do you think is actually holding back MMA from being legalized in New York?
Just politics. Stupid politics. I think it's inevitable. It's a matter of time before it is sanctioned.
And now, for people who don't know about underground MMA or haven't really read an MMA book before, why should they check out this book, other than because it's yours?
Well, it's not like they can check out any other book on the topic. And also because, it's a labor of love, it's well written, and it provides insight, because I've had access that no one else has ever had. So if you're curious about MMA, curious about the underground fight scene, curious about a subculture that exists in New York, this is it.
And like we said before, we did review the book on the site, so you guys can check it out. But I can tell you right now, it got the Fight Nerd seal of approval. So check out Raw Combat by Genia. It comes out, when does that come out? October 25th?
It's in stores October 25th.
All right, so you guys check it out then. Jim, thanks for your time today.
Thanks.